happy that you are here. I'm gonna have you grab a pen and paper, and we'll get started right now. All right. We're going to talk today about menopause isn't just hormonal. And can everyone see my screen? Because I can't see what you guys. Hold on for a second. I don't know what Zoom's doing here. If you can put in the chat, if you can see the screen when I was sharing the screen. All right, hold on for a second. All right, can you guys see that now? And you can take yourself off if you off see here. Yep. All right, perfect. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Once again, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Stephanie Shaw. I am the host of Hello Hot Flash. It's a podcast that speaks to physicians around menopause and the changes that are going on with women in midlife. And it comes out every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm also leader of the community called The Change. The Change is a community of Christian women who come together to help one another navigate this midlife stuff that we're going through. So perimenopause, postmenopause, and just midlife in general. So I am also a wife, a mom, a Christian, and postmenopausal. So as you can see from the photograph here, I had a little challenge during menopause. During that time of period of time, actually premenopausal, I felt ignored, confused. I went to 18 different doctors. Two were now medical facilities and spent over $20,000 out of pocket. I had the normal symptoms, so the hot flashes, I couldn't sleep at night, but I also had some symptoms that a lot of people don't get, the hair loss. I had twitching in my eyes, tingling in my hands and feet, rapid heartbeat. And again, I just struggled a lot during perimenopause. But during that time, I decided to make it purposeful. So I went back, got certifications in nutrition, and then I started coaching other women around perimenopause. So once again, welcome. I'm so excited that you are here, and I hope we're going to have a lot of fun together today. So again, I'm really glad that you're here, and it's probably because of some changes that are going on in your body. Maybe you've seen a dip in your energy, maybe you can't sleep at night, or maybe you just feel different. I know for me, it was like, I can't really describe what's going on. I just feel different. So a lot of times we're eating healthy, we're doing everything that we can to take care of our bodies, but menopause does not play around. We can be doing everything that's right, and still we can find that we are struggling during this time. And you're not alone during this. This happens to a ton of women. So before we start, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine waking up with steady energy, feeling clear about what you need to eat, not battling cravings all afternoon, and feeling like your body is actually working again and working with you. Also feeling clear about your walk with God. I'm going to talk about that a little bit towards the end, but a lot of times we are in a different season and we think that our faith season needs to stay the same, but a lot of times there's changes that need to happen around that as well. If God is directing you that way. So we'll talk about that in a moment as well. All right. So today we are going to talk about or help you understand how food affects your energy, whether it's sleep, stress, midlife weight. We're going to learn a simple way to build a midlife plate that can stabilize your body, your energy, and your mood. And then understand how prayer, meditation, and praise can take you to the next level during this season. And we're also going to learn a simple way to build a faith plate, because if you got a food plate, you need a faith plate. I think that's very important as well. So these are my promises to you that we are going to navigate all of this during this time together. Midlife can be tough. A lot of times, again, as women, we may be thinking, I must be doing something wrong because, I've been eating the same way. If you're like me, I would like say, oh, 2, 3 weeks before a wedding or something, I can always lose weight real quick and fit into that dress. But something just didn't click during midlife or during perimenopause. A lot of times it feels like I've never struggled like this before. So people are confused about why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. If I just had more willpower, if I could just fix this, all of that comes up during this time of life. One other thing that for me, my doctors weren't concerned about what was going on. They're like, oh, every test is normal. You're good. You're just aging. But I knew deep down inside there was something else going on. And if you're here today, you probably have that same feeling like, I kind of don't believe that I should not be concerned during this time. So I want to let you know that you're here, you're in a safe space, and what you're feeling needs to be honored. And what you're feeling is right. It's scary, but it's right. So hormonal fluctuations, they can cause a lot of sensitivities in our body. So we can find that our blood sugar fluctuates differently than it did in the past. Our stress hormones or cortisol is easily raised. It's like I always say we stay at 100 more during perimenopause. So where normally you could, maybe there's some stress and your stress felt elevated at a point, but during perimenopause, a lot of times that elevated stress stays at that elevated level. And food and faith are two ways that we can navigate and get that stress level more steady. And then it can also help with our energy regulation. So when we're feeling like this, a lot of times what we do as women is we start to do things like cut out carbohydrates or fats. We skip meals because we're not hungry or we're too busy. This is me. This was mine. Like I didn't cut the carbs and fats, or the healthy carbs and the healthy fats, but I would skip meals a lot and not feel right during the day. During our conversation today, we are going to talk about what that can do in your body and how timing, not eating at 5:01 every day, but timing of consistent meals is really, really important. A lot of times we often wait it out. We hope that our body will settle down. The doctor told me, as you can tell, I'm kind of moving this little our the screen around a little bit because it's blocking me. I can't see everything. So a lot of times we also wait it out because our doctors are saying, there's nothing to worry about. You're fine. Your body is going to just settle down, or it's just aging. We also, Dr. Google, I was queen of Dr. Google. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have a rapid heartbeat. Oh my Lord, I'm having a heart attack kind of thing. Like we get caught up and not recognize that there are some practical ways that we can make some changes. And then we also sometimes follow influencers on social media. You found me through Eventbrite, or on social media. But I'm talking more specifically about the influencer that may say, if you juice for 90 days straight, your menopause will go away. Or if you cut out all your fats and carbs or do a cabbage soup diet, everything will get better. Those are the types that I'm talking about. Things that are not strategic, things that we can't follow long term, and things that are not necessarily going to get us where we need to be and deserve to be during perimenopause. Right? So again, it doesn't work for us because our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone levels are constantly changing. Normally, I go into a little deeper about this, but I want to spend more time on the workshop. So I have other workshops that talk about what these three major or main hormones actually are doing in our body, but they are constantly changing. So the levels are going up and down as we navigate through perimenopause. Our blood sugar is more easily spiked. So, with the decline in estrogen, our insulin is more resistant. And you may notice food that you would eat in the past, all of a sudden you will eat it. And then a few minutes later, you're like crashing, that maybe that regular baked potato kept you okay for a while, but now you eat that baked potato and then 10 minutes later, your energy's gone, you're crashing. So that's because our blood sugar is more easily spiked during this time. And then stress. Maybe you handled stress differently in the past, but now stress comes from our environment, from our home, from our kids, from our taking care of our parents, from our job, from our spouses. Like all of this stress is building up. And because of our hormonal changes, it is making it a lot worse for us and for our bodies. And stress does three things. It stores fat. So you may see, a little extra loving around your stomach area. It increases our cravings. So a lot of people stress eat, stressful time. Maybe there was a death in the family, or a job change, or the loss of a marriage, or even stress of your child going off to college, stress of turning on the TV and watching the news. All of this, the stress can increase our cravings. So we might find ourselves munching a little bit more. A stressed body also drains our energy, but it's not about willpower. It's just a fuel and timing problem or issue or concern or something that we are going to walk through today. All right. So I want to let you know what really works. So, what works for us is eating in a way that keeps your blood sugar steady so you have energy instead of crashes. So, again, you can't just, and I hate to say can't, and I don't want to be overly politically correct, but you know what I mean. It does not benefit us if we are, just skipping meals, or we're eating a heavy breakfast and then not eating the rest of the day, or not eating during the day and then eating a heavy dinner at night. We need to keep our blood sugar levels consistent, and eating throughout the day does that. So choosing foods and timing meals so your body knows it's safe to relax, instead of not only holding on to stress, but holding on to weight as well. So if you I prescribe to the fasting that I'm going to fast from 8 o'clock at night to around 8 o'clock in the morning. So that basically you stop eating at night and then you eat again the next morning. So that's how I quote unquote 12 hours fast. So my body knows that. My body is used to that. Extended amounts of fasting initially could sometimes, unless prescribed by a doctor, could cause your body to want to actually hold on to weight, because your body's like, hey, Amanda, Susie, I don't know when I'm going to eat again. So I'm going to hold on to this weight. So choosing timing and choosing food to eat throughout the day is really important. And then supporting your hormones with balanced meals instead of constantly battling them with restricted plans or extremes. Again, we talked a little bit about you guys are probably around my age. I'm 56. And so, probably in our 30s, there's a craze called the cabbage soup diet, or so things like that, restrictive plans, or some types of extreme, not eating any fat, not eating any carbohydrates. It's not going to help your body. What works is supporting your body and eating those balanced meals. And it's doable. Eat regularly, even if you aren't hungry. So I'm not saying eat a full meal during that time, but maybe that's the time that you're, picking up an apple and eating fruit for that fiber and for that carbohydrate. It's doable because you can eat a balanced meal: protein, fiber, which is a complex carbohydrate, and healthy fats. And we're going to go over that in a lot of detail today. Stop demonizing food. That's really important as well. Carbohydrates and fats are necessary, and I'm going to tell you why. And then one thing that we may forget is to be grateful. We sit down and we do our rote prayer. Thank you, Lord, for the food we're about to receive, for the nourishment of our bodies. But food and having access to food is a part of or we need to be grateful for having that access to food. And it's a part of lowering our cortisol levels. So when you're practicing gratitude, whether it's something big, I'm grateful that I have a home to live in, I'm grateful for my spouse and my kids, or something small, I'm grateful for this apple, which really isn't small, but any part of your day that you can contribute, be grateful for, including meals, helps lower our cortisol levels as well. So including that into the doable part is something that we can easily do. All right. So we're going to spend probably most of our time here on this slide talking about macronutrients, why they are important, what they do for our bodies. And what I'm going to have you do, I asked you guys to get a sheet of paper and a pencil. You can do it on a computer. I'm old school where I need something tangible. And there's science around that our brain works differently when we're actually writing with our hand. So grab a pen and paper, pencil and paper, or your computer screen, because we're going to work through an exercise in just a few moments. But we're going to spend a little bit of time here because I want to talk to you about, you need this part in order to do the exercise. Any questions so far? Anything at all? All right, awesome. Let's keep on rolling here. So protein, we're going to start with protein. We're hearing a lot about it, 1 gram of protein per pound. There is no way in the world that I could possibly eat that much. I don't think I can get that much protein in per day. But I do prescribe to trying to get 20 to 30 grams of protein in per meal. I think it's different for everyone. If you are an athlete, if you're not even an athlete, if you're training or running or exercising very heavily, yes, you need to up your protein level. But I'm more of a walker, 5 to 10 pound lifter, a couple of days a week, walking consistently, and stretching a lot. So the amount of protein I need is a little different. So that's why when I work with clients, when I work with people, I'm able to more customize exactly what they need because I know exactly what their lifestyle is like. So that I want you to prescribe to the idea that 20 to 30 grams per meal is very, very helpful. And then know your body well enough if you need to add additional protein to that. And if you have any medical concerns that require you not to eat protein, which I don't know of any, but there may be some, please do not. Make sure you're following your physician's advice. All right. So let's talk about protein. Protein is incredibly important in midlife, and most women are not eating enough protein. And it does because it does a lot of different things in our body. And the things are listed there. But first, it supports our muscle. So, starting around our mid 30s, women naturally begin to lose muscle mass. And this process is called sarcopenia. And it accelerates in midlife when estrogen starts to change. Estrogen comes up all of the time. So what you want to do is make sure you have enough protein because, when you're in 70s or 80s, you may be living alone and you want to be able to do that in a healthy manner. Just today, I dropped an episode around this very, very subject, muscle building. It's episode 265 of Hello Hot Flash. And so if you get a chance, jot that down, go back, listen to that episode because it'll go into this in a little more detail about how we can build muscle. But in order to build the muscle, we need to fuel it, and we fuel that muscle with protein. So muscle is important because muscle helps regulate metabolism, our blood sugar, our strength, and also our balance. And when we lose muscle, our metabolism begins to slow and our body burns fewer calories when we're at rest. So protein also helps our brain health. So if you're having a lot of brain fog, if you can't remember your kids' names, no, I'm better at that now. But there was a time I only have 3 of them, but I'm like, you know who you are. So if any of that is coming into play, you may need to up the amount of protein that you're getting in your body. Protein also supports your brain again and your emotional stability, and it also helps control hunger. So think about if you drink a protein shake, it kind of fills you up for a good 3 to 4 hours, right? Versus you eating a bowl of Apple Jacks or, a bagel or something like that, where you'll eat the bagel, you're like, oh, I have all this energy, and then boom, you crash. But what if you ate 2 boiled eggs? Then you have this steady, consistent energy. And that's what we get in protein. And that's what we should be striving to get. All right. So on here is a couple lists of different things for protein. I'm not an advocate of always eating organic because if you can take for an apple, if you can peel the skin off, then, eat what you can eat. And I'm not always an advocate because it's very expensive as well. But if you can add some organic food, especially when it relates to meat, I think that's really helpful. If you're eating seafood, you make sure that it's wild caught seafood because seafood swims in its own feces. And that's how we can often, we think we're eating healthy, we're not necessarily getting healthy food for our bodies. So just, I have to always get on a soapbox about that. So I'm dismounting now. So that's protein. That's protein. That's what protein's for. If you are, maybe you're a vegetarian or vegan, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, quinoa, plant-based yogurts, plant-based milks, eggs, all of those also have protein in them as well, right? So let's talk about fiber and carbohydrates next. And again, I'm sticking on this screen. I'm leaving this up because I want you guys. You're going to have to pull a couple of these foods out in order to build your midlife plate. So the next anchor is fiber, and fiber is one of the most overlooked nutrients in our modern diets. Fiber does something incredibly important. It slows our digestion. When digestion slows, blood sugar rises more gradually instead of spiking. So remember, an example I like to give is Apple Jacks versus an apple. Think about you serving your kid Apple Jacks for breakfast. No shame in the game. My mom served it to me. But Apple Jacks for breakfast versus an apple. If you give them Apple Jacks for breakfast, they're probably like, wow, and they're running around the house, and then all of a sudden they just like crash in front of the TV, or it's kind of hard to reel them in. And then they're more than likely they're saying, hey, I'm hungry again in the next 10 minutes. But if you give them an apple has fiber, and it helps sustain their energy, or that energy, a little longer. So think of that when the next time you're thinking about getting fiber. Fiber is also important for your stool. Like you should be looking at your stool every time you use the bathroom. So if you have small lumps or clumps, then you're more than likely not getting enough fiber. You want it to be long and smooth. And there's something called the Bristol stool chart, and you can look that up online. That will give you a little bit more information on what your stool needs to look like and what foods are missing when your stool isn't right. And if that stool is not right, it's not helping you navigate perimenopause at the level that you could. All right. So also, fiber is important for our gut health. Inside our gut lives trillions of bacteria, and that bacteria help regulate immune function, hormones, and also our mood. A healthy gut also helps with decreased sensitivities to food, helps decrease allergens and so forth as well. So fiber feeds those beneficial gut bacteria, and a healthy gut has been linked to better sleep, more energy, and more mental clarity. And also, I just talked about it, fiber helps keep us full so we're not snacking as much. And snacking, even good snacking, too much can cause weight gain and changes in our energy. All right. So the next thing up is fats. A lot of folks assume, not a lot of folks, people may assume that fats are bad for you because fats get a bad rap. But there are good fats and there are bad fats. So we're going to talk about the good fats. Fats are good for memory, brain support, heart health, controls inflammation in the body. Inflammation leads to cancer, diabetes, heart disease. All of the diseases come from inflammation. So fats cannot be eliminated from your body. We need fat, but we need healthy fat. Healthy fats also regulate our hormones, and hormones are made of cholesterol and fatty acids. So when we completely eliminate fats from our diets, it becomes harder for our hormones to be balanced. And again, our brain is made up of 60% fat. So we kind of need to do something to make sure that we're nourishing our body and make sure that we have those fats. Fats are important for mood, focus, and also our memory. And also, we take vitamins. So you may take an A or D or multi or E or K. Fats help the body absorb those vitamins. So all of this works together. It cannot be in isolation. And in order for you to navigate perimenopause at the next level, you need two things. And I'm going to keep saying it: food and faith. Those are the two. When I listed the 18 different doctors that I went to, I personally chose not to take any HRT or any type of estrogen or hormones or hormone creams. That was just a personal choice for me. I do not do well with medication. And I also wanted to see if this food thing could really work. So for those 2.5 years, I just got focused. I don't want to say strict, but really focused on the foods that I ate and really focused on what God was calling me to do. Food and faith. Those are the two things that help me navigate perimenopause. So that's why I'm here. And that's what I want to help you guys with as well. All right. So let's keep it moving. So what we're going to do next is our exercise. So everyone, hopefully you have your pen and paper out. I want you to, first of all, what I want you to do, and I would love, love, love if someone would share with me, either think of what you ate for breakfast or dinner yesterday, and then if you could take yourself off mute and even put your camera on. I know some of you guys may be at work and that may not be possible, but share with me what you ate for breakfast or for dinner or lunch or whatever yesterday. Anyone want to share? I'm not hearing any takers. Maybe everyone's at work or they're being shy. I am going, it's kind of hard to share what I ate yesterday because I don't even remember exactly what I ate because I eat all day long. I'll share what my husband ate yesterday. So, and he's actually really good at this. So that might not be a good example. I'm going to share a generic example. So a lot of times for dinner, we may eat pasta, pasta sauce, garlic bread, and then maybe a salad. All right. So that's a typical dinner. Or let's go to breakfast. Let's go to breakfast. So, breakfast, coffee, maybe orange juice because we want to get our fruit in. And those are air quotes. Yes, that's a tad bit sarcasm there. So maybe we have a bagel, we have coffee, we have juice, and then maybe a half a bowl of oatmeal. All right. So in that, we did not get any protein in. We don't have any fats, healthy fats in there, and we have a ton of sugar because while the oatmeal is fiber and carbohydrates, but it also can quickly change the sugar. So you need to, on top of that oatmeal, perhaps put some berries or some yogurt. From that, for protein, you can also do an egg. So, for example, for a morning breakfast, I usually do two scrambled eggs, and then I'll just like spray some oil or yeah, just spray some oil or two boiled eggs if I'm in a hurry, and then like a half a bowl of oatmeal, and then a cup or sometimes two of some type of berry, a couple tablespoons of a plant-based yogurt because I don't eat meat. I only eat salmon, and then on top of that, I'll put some chia seeds, maybe some nuts, sunflower seeds, also some flax seeds, some sesame seeds. I lump on the seeds. So between all of that, I'm getting my protein, I'm getting my carbohydrates, and I'm getting my healthy fats in the morning. And that gets me roughly to around my 20 grams of protein that we talked about prior in the morning. So what I want everyone to do, and I'm going to give you, I turned my phone off. So I need to turn that back on real quick so I have a clock. But I'm going to give you 2 minutes and ask that you complete your plate. So let's think about either breakfast or lunch or dinner, and then what would a healthy plate look like to you or your desired healthy plate? I'll give you time to think about that. Should have had music, right? And again, take yourself off mute if you have any questions. We'll turn on some Fred Hammond real quick, or we won't. Hmm. All right, we have like 1 more minute left. All right, awesome. Does anyone want to share what they put down for their plate? And here's some examples of different items if you couldn't think of any. Anyone want to share their midlife plate? So again, half vegetables, quarter protein, quarter healthy carbs, and then some fat on top.
I'll share.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Trying to get microphone on, off, and all of that took a couple of seconds. So I'm not sure how great I did with it, but I strive to have a really good breakfast. It just makes me feel like I'm starting the day very well. So I think what I would love, I don't do well with boiled eggs, but I love the idea of an egg scramble. So it'd be like two scrambled eggs with lots of spinach, of course, just a little like a avocado oil spray or something, in the pan. Although I'd love the butter, but an egg scramble with spinach and maybe a little cheese if I could squeeze it in there. Turkey bacon. I'm still always looking for just the right brand, that's fairly healthy, low in sodium and all that. But I would definitely add to it the like an almond milk yogurt with berries added to it. I found that's my new treat. So
Yeah, I love that was Amanda, right?
yes,
Yes,
sorry, yes.
yeah, I love that so much. And I love the fact that you said that's your new treat because I'm just being honest. That's why I do the yogurt and the berries in the morning.
Right. It's very tasty. It really reminds me. I can fool myself into thinking it's almost like ice cream. Like if,
Yeah.
especially if you get like the vanilla one or some flavor, and then add the blueberries go down a little bit better. I was not a big fan of
Mhm.
blueberries, but the blueberries or the strawberries are just a nice additive there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love that so much. And so when you're selecting your yogurt, be very careful about the content of sugar that's in
Hmm.
the yogurt. So always, check the back. I can't even remember the brand that we use because I just started a new one that has a pretty good. It's at Myers. I don't know if you guys have a Myers or not, but it's a plant-based Greek yogurt, and we buy the carton. It's like a purple looking, but it has like 13 grams of protein in it and little to no sugar in it. So look for that, to make sure that you're getting everything you can out of it. That sounds really, really good. I would also add, and again, this is based on if you can digest this, but add some seeds to this. So some chia seeds,
Hmm.
flax seeds helps with bowel movement as well. So don't add like a couple tablespoons because flaxseed will give you diarrhea if you add too much. So just like sprinkle on a teaspoon of that, and then maybe some sesame seeds, and then some, if you have almonds or walnuts in the morning, add that to it, and in your mind think, what's that called? Banana split with nuts on top.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah,
that. I love those ideas. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing.
sure.
Yeah. So awesome. That's exactly what we do during the day. We need to mapping out what we're going to eat is really helpful. And I think also having a plan for what we're going to eat, because if I wake up and don't have a plan, I usually have a plan when I wake up, but I'll say if I get to lunch or dinner and don't have a plan for that day, then I will grab and eat something. And so that's why I try very hard not to have any snacks in my house, even though I have grandkids. I'm like, bring your snacks with you and take your snacks home with you, because I will grab really quickly. So having a plan, I think, is super, super important. So I love that. I love that you guys are thinking about that. So I'm just going to go over these pages just super quick. Here's what a breakfast could look like. And it sounds like that's about what we're doing. What you guys to think about also is eat the rainbow. So Amanda said blueberries, so that's purple. That's strawberries, that's red. Even in your scramble, think of a purple onion, or think of adding a red or yellow bell pepper. Mushrooms, even though brown, also add protein to it. So make that egg scramble in the morning as healthy and as full and as nutritious as possible. Spraying on, you said you like butter. If you're doing a small amount of butter, here's my thing. There's a couple things I don't compromise on. I do plant-based butter, but I like butter, so I do that because I'm doing everything else pretty healthy. Another thing was like environmental toxins, and that's a little off subject, but I just won't give up my MAC makeup, but I don't do anything else. So sometimes there's little things that we can fit in there when we're doing the rest. If we try to go hard at 100%, a lot of times that's when it can become more of a chore versus just a new way of doing life. So if you need your pinch of butter every once in a while, put that pinch of butter in there. All right. And then make sure that you're drinking water. We didn't talk about that, but that's super important. I usually have this big mason jar, the really, really big one, and I try to get through it today. Each day I play mental games with myself. I'm like, woo, I got through it. I'm a winner kind of thing. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So drinking water is really important. So for me, it's getting to that mason jar. So this is a lunch example, and I'm going to send out the video after so you guys can have access to it. And then here is a snack. We just talked about that right there. That's a perfect snack. And then let's see here. And then this is dinner: salmon, roasted sweet potato, or quinoa. So if it's a white food, it's food that you should avoid. So you don't want a white potato. You don't want white rice. Rice is actually black, and white is because they've stripped a lot of the nutrients out of it. So you want things like quinoa or lentils. And again, eating the rainbow, right? So I'm going to give you an example of two of the women that I've worked with in the past, and we've done the midlife plate. I called it something different back then, but it was the same thing. So I'd worked with Lynn Ann. Lynn Ann was actually working on a marathon. She was getting ready to run a marathon. So she had a trainer who had her barely eating and working out really, really hard. And she was doing nothing but gaining weight. So we did the opposite. We started eating more and exercising less. And then she was able to lose 7 pounds in 3 weeks. But it was because it was around eating the plate, eating things that are good for you and good for your body. And with Tanya had gone to the doctor, and her doctor told her she was pre-diabetic and needed to get on medication. She's like, can you just give me 90 days? I know a woman. So I'm the woman she knew. So we started working together, and she went back to the doctor, took the test again. And this has been over a year now. She's not pre-diabetic anymore. So she did this midlife plate and started eating differently and eating for her body. So it's really, really important. And again, food and faith can help make the change that we need, right? So one important thing to remember, you wouldn't want to eat the same thing every day. And that's why building a week long or a month long plan is really helpful. Once you understand the formula, it's easy to start rotating meals. And the midlife plate is what helped me change during midlife, right? So it matters because we want to have more energy, energy for our kids, for our job, for ourselves. A lot of times and I just thought about that in all honesty, because even I know better, but a lot of times I will say, I want energy so I can play with my grandkids. In my mom's 50s, she was playing soccer with my boys. And like, I have two grandsons. Like, I want to play soccer with them. I want to have energy for them. I want to have energy for work. I want to have energy for my clients and my friends. But sometimes I don't think I need to have energy for Stephanie as well. And that's what I want you guys to think about. Think about having more energy for yourself so you can do things that you want to do in this season of life. You want to have less cravings throughout the day. Eating that egg scramble with that spinach and with the yogurt and the blueberries, that's going to give Amanda energy throughout the day. That's going to give you guys energy throughout the day so you can do the things that you really enjoy. Better mood. Who wants to be grumpy and who wants to be around someone that's grumpy, right? And then better sleep. I'll be honest with you. I had a lot of prayers during these 2.5 years. One, that something else wasn't really wrong with me. But the other prayer that God answered pretty quickly for me is, I'm like, Lord, I can't handle the sleep thing. Not being able to sleep throws every single thing off for me. I can't think, I can't focus, I can't navigate work. I'm grumpy, I'm craving foods. I need to sleep. So he granted that to me. That was one of the symptoms that were immediately taken away. But part of it, but I could have still been eating sugar and junk food all the time and praying for that. So I needed to do both. I needed the prayer. I needed for him to answer that prayer for me, but I needed to do my part. And my part was eating better. So eating better actually helps you have better sleep at night. So we know that we've built that plate. I want to build the faith plate for you now. I want to show you something that mirrors exactly what we just did. We're going to build, instead of, the macronutrients of protein, fiber, healthy fats, we're going to build the faith nutrients of prayer, meditation, and praise. And I call this the faith plate. We often think of navigating menopause as the right HRT formula, lifting weights, exercising, mindset tools, and even food. and we leave faith off the table. And faith is the most important part, because when we have that faith, when we have that relationship with Christ, when we can go to him and say, I don't know what to do next, or can you help me eat better? Can you help me during this season? Can you help me understand what's going on in my body? Give me the energy and the motivation. We need to be able to go to God for all of that. So that's why we're going to build the faith plate. So while the midlife plate is important, again, I'm convinced you can't have one without the other. And that's just like in the podcast, Hello Hot Flash. What we do is a science and a faith component, because I'm convinced you can't have one of those without the other either. You have to have the science. So I got to tell you what's going to happen if you have to have a hysterectomy. But I also need to tell you how God allowed the woman to touch the hem of his garment, who I'm convinced was perimenopausal, to heal her body. So in the podcast, Hello Hot Flash is science and faith. And here I want to talk about, again, food and faith. We're going to talk about prayer, meditation, and praise. And the workshop is, or the working part of it is as exact as we did with the food. A lot of times during perimenopause, we may start to feel disconnect. I'm going to say we, but I need to say I. So I start to feel disconnected initially, because I had so much focus on the other stuff that was going on. I didn't know how to pray. Like, how do you pray for level estrogen and progesterone? What you do is that just ask for it, but like that comes up for you. You feel exhausted physically and spiritually. And then I used to feel strong in my faith, and then start to just feel a little numb, like, what are my next steps in this season? So that may be where some of you are, or what some of us may have thought or be thinking. And when we're in that situation and we're thinking that, we often feel guilty for not praying the way that we should. Spending 3 hours in our prayer closet, or praying. I'm old school Pentecostal, where if you prayed the right way, you're going to get your healing. So maybe thinking that we need to pray the exact way or an exact formula. There's no should with God. He already knew what we were going to pray before we said it anyway. So he knows where we're coming from, and he knows the heart of it all. Sometimes we're comparing our faith walk to earlier seasons in life. So in 2017, when all of this hit the road for me, I had spent 17 years serving in our church, in our ministry, for our 6-week-old to 4-year-old students. And I had to stop. And it was heartbreaking, because I love those kids. Those kids now are like 25 and 26, and they're bringing their kids to like see me on Sunday mornings. And it's all lovely. I loved that season of my life. But that wasn't the season that God was leaving me in. He was preparing me for that next season. So I don't want you comparing your faith walk now to what happened in prior seasons. God may just be moving you somewhere else. Assuming distance from God means you're failing spiritually, you are not. Or staying silent about it because you think you're the only one. This was me too. I was like, I'm not telling anyone, because there's no way in the world anyone else could feel this way. And because of the 18 doctors, I kind of didn't think anyone would believe me anyway. So staying silent is not what we need to do. It doesn't work because you're doing all the right spiritual things instead of what God is calling you to do. Again, so this is a season where we need to ask, what is our next season of life? I've always wanted to do something around food. Like, I'm thinking, I was probably in my early 20s, so 25 plus years ago. I'm like, I want to write a cookbook, or I want to help people with food. And, I got married instead. I had 3 kids. I had a corporate career. I ran a nonprofit. All those other things happened. And if I didn't get sick or didn't have the perimenopause for those 2.5 years, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd still be probably running my nonprofit, or be back in another corporate job. So this season is on purpose. Uncovering what this season is about is super important. It doesn't work, again, if you think that you need to do all the right things. Prayer, and it doesn't work if you pray just because you feel like you should. There's a purpose. There's a purpose here. I don't want you to ask what's wrong with my faith or what's wrong with me during this season. Ask what is God inviting me into this season? Is it something that you've been dreaming about all your life that you wouldn't have taken the risk on yourself, but he helped you navigate and see the purpose in this painful season that you're going through or this challenging season? Is it deeper trust instead of striving, presence instead of performance, or listening instead of doing? Again, I'm telling on myself because I've been there. I've been where you guys are. So again, let's build the faith plate. It's the same exact thing. Saying 33%, this is all just man-made is what this is. Because there's no it's what God is calling you to. Because my sister passed it was 3 weeks ago today. So when that happened, before that season, my prayer life was like, phew, and I didn't realize that it was so high and so intense because I needed that to carry me through this season. So I'm saying all that to say, don't prescribe to this 33% that I put here. I'm just giving you a pie chart for visual. It's what you and your God decide is going on in this season. So what I want you to do is take just like 1 or 2 minutes and think about during this season, when or how can you add these things into your life? So under meditation is 33 also. So again, when and how can you add these things to your day? All right. So take a minute, think about that. Okay. And next time I'm going to have some music. I have no idea why my music isn't playing. I'm not in my office, so maybe it can't be a connection problem talking to you guys. I don't know, but anyway. So hopefully you've come up with a couple of things. So think about this. So for prayer, could it be you know, as soon as you get out of bed, that's your morning prayer, and or prayer at night. Praying before meals. Again, we talked about the rote prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this food. There was a season where I did some intentional. I was really sick, you guys, like really, really sick during those 2.5 years. I couldn't drive for a while. My oldest son called my mom, was like, I know that mom has cancer or she's dying and she's just not telling us. Like, I got really, really sick. So I did some really, may seem quirky, but intentional things because I was desperate for God. And when you get desperate for Him, a lot of times that's when the good stuff happens. So for prayer, for food, what I would do is whatever I was eating. So let's say I was eating oatmeal. I look at the oatmeal box and then maybe I would think about the person. There's someone who actually designed that label. I would pray for the person who designed the label of the oatmeal box. If they're no longer living, praying for their kids or their grandkids, their nieces and their nephews, that God would start to open doors so that if they're not saved, they would get saved. I would pray for the people who picked the berries, or the people who picked the apples off the tree, or the engineer who helped had to fix the apple picker. Like I would go deep and weird sometimes, but I was praying for their salvation. And in praying for their salvation, it only took like 60 seconds. Sometimes I go a little longer, but in praying for their salvation, I believe that it was helping me as well. So, and it was giving me another time during the day to pray. So, long story, but just want to tell you there's ways to add that prayer in. Meditation may be reading a verse at night, journaling for 5-10 minutes, quiet reflection, hiding out somewhere in your house if you need to, if you have kids running around. And then worship worship isn't just listening to music. It could be reading a psalm. Maybe you're not feeling good about yourself and you read a psalm or Psalm 139. I love Psalm 139. So reading Psalm 139, that's where the Lord tells you that He knows every single thing about you. He knows you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So thanking and then thanking God throughout the day. So hopefully you have a prayer plate included now. All right. And then what I want you to do is think about how this fits into your day. So, what another thing that I think is really important is we put the kids' soccer game on our calendar. We put meetings on our calendar. We put our hair appointment on our calendar. We put our massage, manicure, pedicure on our calendar. But a lot of times we will leave off prayer, worship, meditation. And I'm not saying that it only happens when it's on the calendar, but someone once told me your priorities lie in your checkbook and on your calendar, right? So what's important to you shows up for you. So just as an aside, perhaps you take one of these things, maybe you can't do them all, but you want to now meditate for 10 minutes every week. How about Friday, 7:30 a.m.? You're putting that on your calendar. So you're getting a little reminder and it starts to come up for you. For me, my phone, I don't know what time it's set to now because I usually change it. I think it's 2:30 now, but 2:30 every day, I get a reminder on my calendar that says gratitude. So what I do is sometimes I'll take 20 seconds and be like, thank you, Lord, for today. Boom. That's, 2 seconds. And then sometimes I'm desperate. So I will pray more and intentionally. So that's showing up on my calendar for me, specifically showing up as on my alarm works for me. So that's something that you can do as well. All right. Perfect. I hope you guys got something out of the day. I'm so excited about this. This totally changed the way that I navigated perimenopause. It's doable. You just need to build your plate, your faith plate, and also your midlife plate. So imagine eating from these plates for the next 7 days and having someone to support you. So balanced meals, balanced faith, guidance along the way. That's why I created the 7 day midlife reset. Inside of the reset, we work together for 7 days. And during the 7 days, I want to help you feel lighter, calmer, more energized, maybe even lose a pound or two without forcing your body or stressing over every bite. Also, help you build out those plates so that if you have picky eaters in your house, you know what to cook so you're not cooking extra meals. There was a period in my life, I have 3 kids, me and my husband, and there was a vegan, a vegetarian, a no beef eater, and a no pork eater. So there's 4 different eating styles for only 5 people. So I learned how to build out meals that could serve everyone and make me only cook once. So that's part of what we'll do during this 7 days together. At the end of the 7 days, you'll have a plan for food and faith, feel relief from cravings, energy crashes, and hot flashes, get clarity on what actually helps your body feel better. Because if Greek yogurt works for me does not mean Greek yogurt will work for you. So there's some trial and error that goes along with eating, because especially when our bodies may already not be working for us. So I hope you navigate some of that as well. Notice real energy and mood shift and stop forcing your body and start listening with the support of God. All right. So if you work with me over the next 7 days, here's what you'll get. You'll get a 7 day meal plan, vegetarian or meat protein. I'm always sensitive to that. You'll get a 15-minute jumpstart call. So what do you want to do? How do you want me to build this out? What does this look like for you and your family? And then after the 7 days, we'll do another follow-up call. And that follow-up call is, where were there any gaps? How else can I support you? You'll get daily personal support messages and daily stress reset and prayer focus. And it's just $37. And the reason for that is because I know how important this is. And a lot of times we just need to get started. So I want to break down any barriers there are around to people getting started. What would happen is after you purchase this plan, you'll get a calendar invite. You set up that 15-minute initial call with me. And during that 15-minute initial call, that's when we will kickstart this journey together. This 7-day reset is super, super important for your body, and it's going to help you navigate perimenopause, not just during the 7 days, but long term, it's only as well. And again, you get the 7-day meal plan, 15-minute jumpstart and follow-up call, daily personal support messages to your inbox, and then daily stress reset and prayer focus. And I'm also throwing in 2 meditation videos as well. All right. And then there is a bonus included. So if you purchase today, you also get another 30-minute one-on-one session. So for the $37, you ultimately end up with an hour of my time walking through, helping you figure out what is going on and how I can support you and how you can learn to support yourself during perimenopause. I only have 15 spots because during those 7 days, I am working intensely to make sure that people are getting what they need. So there's only 15 spots available. If you sign up today, again, you get that additional 30-minute bonus session. I'm so excited about what we just went over today. Like I'm thinking about my plate for tonight already. Does anyone have any questions for me? I'm going to go back to the
I have a quick
rules.
question.
Yes, yes, Amanda.
Um, for someone who, yes, around the same age range, didn't grow up with a ton of sort of education around food nutrition, is there any one source within Dr. Google that you would suggest or point us to in terms of something that we could use to better sort of compare the nutrients in foods that we like when we're trying to put together a long-term plan, calories, the protein, the sugars. I nowadays you can just kind of find that so many different places and so many different people online. I,
Yes.
I just feel like if I had one source to always go back to, if I found a new product or I decided to eat this instead of that, then I could really have a handle on, what that means nutritionally, because I'm not real strong at continuing to count the calories and look that up. But if I had one source to kind of keep going back to,
Mhm.
sort of bookmark it, in my tablet or something, anything you would suggest is a really good source long term?
Yeah. So first of all, counting calories may work for some people, has never worked for me, and it's not something I personally prescribe to. I ask people to look more toward the content and the nutrients of the food that they're getting. So making sure that maybe you're counting grams of protein initially, and pretty soon you'll just start to feel and understand and know when you have enough. So the work that I do is exactly what you're asking for. So the 7-day reset is available here, but long term, I also work with women to make sure that they are getting exactly what they need, understand what food is not only food that they need, but food that is going to work for their body. There was a time where I couldn't digest dairy at all, but you know, I was able to heal my gut and then get to the place where I could digest dairy. So same thing that happened for me happens for my clients as well. So I would be your resource. I
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I would be your resource. And a good that's also the reason for this 7-day reset, because it's going to get you what you initially need. It's also going to get you what you help you establish a relationship with me so you can understand if I'm the person that's going to get you through and to that long-term journey as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. I plan to sign up right away.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I'm excited about that. I'm excited. And Amanda, I think I have your email address as well. So I'll be in contact if you have any problems or anything when you're signing up. My email address is there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, you guys? I'm going to keep this up. I am so excited. I love doing this so much. I'm telling you, that's exactly food and faith. I would not be here if I hadn't been perimenopausal. It was a struggle, but it's exciting because on the other end of it, I've been able to realize some of my dreams and my goals, and I've been able to help ton, a ton of women do the exact thing. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I hope you guys sign up and work with me. And if I can help you in any other way, I think you guys all have my email address. And again, I'm going to get this out to everyone so you'll have a little bit more information about me as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope everyone has an amazing week. And don't forget to check out the podcast, Hello Hot Flash. All right, everyone. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, guys. Have an amazing day. Here's to your health.